My name is Munir Ajam, and I am the founder and CEO of Uruk Project Management. In this topic today, we're going to discuss something that is becoming quite popular, maybe as a term, the word hybrid. So here we're going to ask a question and trying to understand what is hybrid in the project management context. Is there such a thing that really exists called hybrid? Or just is it another relabel or renaming of what many of us know as traditional project management? We will explore this topic in this session. So we will start, and we must set the scene first. And we do that in two slides, in two parts. The first part we focus here is that what we are talking about in today's session, it's in the context of project management and project management methodology, or basically, to be more specific, a project management method that for a given context. If you'd like to know more about the difference between method and methodology, we have recorded other session on that topic. Feel free to access them. So in the context of this discussion today, we need to understand that we're talking about project management method. Now, how do we define a project management method? Because there are at least many definitions, but at least two common definition. One that talks about project management method for anything that sometimes we use on a project. For example, critical path method. That is a technique we use while we are managing project. Or earned value management, or things of that nature. That's one part of the definition. However, in the discussion here today, the definition of we adopt the second definition, which is a project management method must cover the entire value delivery lifecycle, project lifecycle, from the product vision until it's operating. So this is really more of a product or delivery, product management, value delivery approach, where we need to think about the entire life cycle from the idea or product vision all the way until it's operating, and we are getting some benefit. The owner is getting benefit from it. Again, there is a link here for you. We will post this link with on YouTube, so basically you will be able to see these other videos. The second part of setting the scene that is important is the word traditional, and the reason for this is obviously, like you saw on the previous slide, is that where there is a confusion on the terminology. So we need to clarify, at least in this context, what do we mean? We clarified methodology, and now we need to clarify traditional. So what is traditional or traditional project management? Some practitioners equate traditional project management to waterfall, right? So basically, whenever we say a traditional project management, people immediately think waterfall. Well, that's not really the case. This is why we disagree with this idea or with this approach. Traditional project management is definitely not waterfall. Again, that's at least our opinion. And so, what is our view of traditional project management? So, if we don't agree with the first definition, what is our definition? A traditional project management is the way we have always managed projects as competent project managers in organization with mature system. Now, what does that mean? That means if you have organizations that have really invested time and energy and money into building their project management system, and they have trained their project management people to be competent project manager people, those organizations and those kind of discussion are or understand that project management has always been adaptive. That means every project have some common features, some project have some common features, and yet some project have some specific conditions that are unique. So how do we manage project? Well, depend. If we want to manage a small, simple project or large and complex project, if we're managing a project that is technology or we're managing a facility project, right? We understand that one size fits all does not work. This is why we have to be adaptive. So that is our view of traditional project management, which is, in other words, I can say traditional project management or project management to me they mean the same, right? So project management historically, which means traditionally, has been adaptive. That's very critical, a piece of information that we use to build our case in this discussion. So that brings us quickly to the question of what is a hybrid? Well, if we think about it, the suggested hybrid model, based on what we've read and seen from people who advocate this concept, is they suggest that it's combined waterfall and agile. Basically. So basically, they come back and said, well, some situation we need waterfall project management method, and sometimes we need an agile project management method. Now, I say this was for the discussion purpose because I don't believe or agree that there is such a thing as an agile project management or waterfall project management. However, let's take it for granted for now. So the suggested hybrid model combine waterfall and agile. So what they are saying is that on a hybrid model is that basically on a project, within a project, we have to use both concepts. Now, how I'm still trying to figure out the challenge that we see with that approach, okay, which is built on what I said a minute ago, is that the challenge is that agile is about product development. When we look at agile, it's agile development. How do we develop the product? Getting software to the working software to the customer in short, quick term increment, iterative, right? So it's about building. When we are building the product, agile development is great. However, that's not a management approach. That is not how you manage the project, right? Because remember, project management includes defining the project scope, the objective, the business objective, doing a business case, doing feasibility studies. All of these are part of the project. Agile technically assume is that a product backlog exists. That means the organization have already decided what they want to build, and we are ready to start building. That most often, there in some situation, agile can be a little bit more. But when we talk about agile, we are either talking about agility, which is a totally separate subject, or we are talking about product development. The same thing with waterfall. Also, waterfall, what is waterfall? Waterfall and project management is not logical. We never do project by waterfall, right? Waterfall, again, in product development. So yes, if I'm working on a product and I need to design it before I can build it, right? That kind of hard sequence. If we're gonna call that waterfall, then yeah, sure. In so many situations, we have situation where it's related to product development, not managing the project again. And these are, again, I know these are very controversial points and many people might disagree with me. However, that's fine. That's why we are posting our views. Then we need to ask another question in this case. How do two non-PM methodology, if Agile and Waterfall are non-project management methodology, how could they produce a project management method, which means the hybrid, right? Because what we're saying is that we are starting with Agile project management methodology and Waterfall project management methodology, blend them together, and now we have a hybrid project management methodology. As a foundation, the two foundation are not PM methods. So how could hybrid be a PM method? Again, maybe I'm being academic at this point, so let's leave it at that for now, and then we're gonna come back and discuss more. However, that is an important question to think about. So, what is a hybrid project management? Again, I repeat the question. And in this case, what we're looking for here is trying to visualize it, right? So, we advise you to pause. You can pause this video, or if you're listening to the audio, and think about this. Try to imagine in your mind. Let me give you something to think about, right? You want to have a house. So you and your partner just have an idea that you need to have your own home. What is the life? What is the sequence? What is the process that you go through from that minute? From the minute you thought about having your own home until you are living in your own home. That journey, how does it look like? I mean, obviously we call that project life cycle, but some people might not like the term. Just think about it. What are what would this life cycle look like? Okay, and well, how is it structured, or what are the steps in that journey? Right? Think about that, and then come back and try to see how is that a hybrid model? Is that a hybrid model? Could we use hybrid for something like this? Now I know we can use, obviously sometimes we have to design the foundation before we build them. So somebody tell me, Munir, you have to design the foundation before you build them. That's a waterfall. Okay, that is actually, we don't call it waterfall, we call it sequential development, right? You have to do step. Or somebody said, well, I'm not sure about the paint. I have to decide about the paint and paint color. So that's agile. I'm willing to accept that for you as well, right? However, that does not make it a project management approach. We need to learn to segregate or separate or differentiate between managing the work and managing the project and the building, the development, the implementation, the execution action that is actually technical work. So I don't know if you have the chance to think about all of this yet. What would the project life cycle and the hybrid project management methodology look like? Try to imagine. Then, as we move on, again, from the different literature and, not literature, the articles and posts that we've seen on hybrid, I know one thing we agree on is that the hybrid project management methodology built on the idea of tailoring. A lot of articles that we've seen, including recently in some of the studies, or not studies, in some of the information. I say studies because you would love to see that there is studies, but unfortunately there isn't, right? But that there is such a thing as a hybrid project management methodology. Anyway, many of these reading material that we've seen is built on the idea that hybrid project management methodology include tailoring. Okay, hold that thought. And here we ask a question. Did you know tailoring was a core concept in the Pumbaa Guide first edition, which was published in 1996? It has many sections that talked about the need for tailoring as we work on project. So, and it wasn't only mentioned in 1996, we believe it was kept in the guide for a few editions. So I think the 2000 edition and maybe even the third edition included, and maybe the fourth, I can't remember. However, what I know for sure is that over time, if we look at the Pumbaa Guide, and this is not limited to the Pumbaa Guide, I'm sure other guides have done the same, but at least the Pumbaa Guide is one of the most popular, so we can use it as an example. And because I know the history very well, because I've been intimately involved with the Pumbaa Guide for many, since the first edition, so I know it well. And what we believe is that in the later edition of the Pumbaa Guide, the last few editions, it's basically the idea of tailoring was de-emphasized. Why? And in some cases lost. And there are some concepts were completely lost. For a few editions, for example, the Pumbaa Guide did not even talk about the idea of a stage gate. And then I think they brought it back in the 6th edition. So there are so many ideas they were there in the first edition, they were lost or de-emphasized. So why was it de-emphasized? Was it due to agile? I need to ask those questions, and I have my opinion, but I don't know. These are situations for, obviously I'm not sitting in the offices of the people who are writing these guides, so I don't know what they were thinking, but I know the result. I can observe from the result. What we saw is that there are a lot of emphasis on agile. So now we don't talk about tailoring as much, so now the alternative has become agile, and then where we need to shift from waterfall to agile. And as a result of that, we start to see the binary choice that either projects are either adaptive or predictive, right? Again, adaptive leaning toward agile and predictive leaning toward waterfall. And we even seen some people posting in recent months and even year or two that the Pumba guide is waterfall. I have no idea where this is coming from. I can't remember ever seeing the word waterfall anywhere written in the Pumba guide since the 1996 edition. Now maybe I'm wrong, right? The Pumbak was never about waterfall. It was about most project most of the time, right? So what are the processes that we can use on most project most of the time? So that means being tailored. That means being adaptive, right? Why did we change or de-emphasize those concepts and go toward agile, and so many agile practice guide and certification, and also the idea that we only have a choice: waterfall or agile, adaptive or predictive. Right? I'm gonna build back on the first bullet in this slide, which is project management is about tailoring. Here I'm gonna shift, and part of this, in a way, is indirect marketing. So forgive me, but the intention of this session is not marketing. It's basically to identify that is the idea of hybrid. However, since we have spent years and decades working on these concepts, we obviously need to present a case that might elaborate on the situation. We have been working in methodologies on project management since 2007, and I have been working on the Uruk Platform for the last 4 years or so. And what we are building, or we have built, and we continue to enhance, is in the Uruk Platform, is that as an adaptive, scalable, built with tailored method. So the question, is it traditional or hybrid? Obviously, based on some of these words, some people might call it, that sounds like the hybrid you've been talking about, Munir. Yeah, right? Tailoring, adaptive, scalable is another term that it indicate adaptability, right? So must be hybrid. Well, I never thought about it that way, so maybe it is. However, let me show you. What was the definition of a tailored method? A tailored method is a method that is customized for a particular project type. So basically what we are saying is that you have different project types, and there are different criteria and variables we look at. I will show you. Then basically we need to have the method, which is, remember, a tailored method meaning a project management method, meaning is a value delivery method, meaning it covers a project from product vision until operation, right? That is the method in our definition. We'll go back to what we discussed, the definition of method and definition of traditional at the start of the session. So a tailored project management method is customized to a particular project type and is adapted to specific conditions such as your project size, complexity, degree of innovation, development approach, and so on. We will explain that. We have done there's a link to a video that basically we have done a full hour webinar on this topic and how we go into intensive detail about how do we tailor method. However, for now, at least we have only 2-3 slides. So when we talk about customized, what does it mean? Well, project type, right? You have different industries, as you can see from this picture: aviation, robotic, renewable energy, academic and education, healthcare, oil and gas. All of these are different sectors. We call them sectors. So to customize, to define a project type, we have 3 variables, right? So for us, when we customize a methodology, we look at 3 variables to define the project type. So right now we are on the first, if I go back to slide, the first bullet, right? So first we start with the sector, which is the general. Obviously, for example, in technology, you will find a different type of technology projects share potentially a life cycle. They look somewhat similar. Not exactly the same, but there are similarities. Within the aviation industry, you will find that project life cycle, they have some similarity. Same thing with oil and gas or renewable energy. So here we're not looking for precisions or exactness. We're looking for, similarities. So in this case, a method would look similar within the industry, within that sector. Now, if we zoom down within the sector to a domain, let me take an oil and gas, for example, is something I have a lot of experience with. So basically, oil and gas is huge. It could include offshore or onshore. It could include pipeline. It could include refineries or petrochemical plant. It could include new facilities or what they call them greenfield or brownfield, which mean a project within operating facilities. So there are different type of projects. So in that case, we look at if we look at the capital project industry, so sector. So let me start with sector. If we look at the capital project sector, right, we could have different type project. We can have oil and gas. We can have renewable. We can have utilities. Those are, we call them industries or domain. And then underneath them, we have the category. So for example, the oil and gas example I was giving you, under the sector would be, let me maybe summarize it easier. The sector would be capital project. The domain would be oil and gas, utilities, these kind of things. The category under oil and gas, we could have pipeline, we can have onshore, we can have offshore, we can have greenfield, we can have brownfield. And so basically that allow us to narrow down and come up, maybe as you can see here, there are 6 pictures, but these 6 pictures, if we start to dig into them, there probably be 50 different methods related to these type of project and these industries and sectors, right? Because we look for specialization. The more we can narrow down the choices, we can develop a more bespoke tailored method that is very highly specific tailored method. And why do we want to do that? Because the more specific we are, then we can use it on all those type of projects for maximum efficiency and future project and avoiding recreating the wheel. Then we continue to say, okay, now we have defined, let's say we want to talk about a pipeline project, or we're going to talk about solar panel project, which is part of renewable energy, which is part of capital project. Now, what else do I need to know? Well, project class. And that is a classification system. That is a classification system that helps us decide the size and complexity. If, for example, take real estate. Building a cabin in the wood is a project, but it's probably less complex than building a large mansion or building a mini mall or building a high tower, right? So they are all capital project, they are all building project. However, their size and complexity are different. So we use something called project classification, and the Uruk we use 5 classification. 4 of them we have built into the platform. The mega project one is still in the future. I wrote a book about it, but we have not built it into the platform yet because it's a huge. So we look at micro projects, small, simple, medium, moderate, large, and complex. And then we look at development approach. And here maybe the hybrid story come in, right? What is or how are we going to develop the product of the project? Well, in this case, we have 2 techniques. Most projects follow the concept of Big Bang. This is what people call waterfall, but again, I don't agree with the term waterfall, so I avoid it as much as possible. So what's a Big Bang? Big Bang is that usually where the team will have to deliver the product of your project. Remember, every project must produce something, right? With product. So we can only deliver the product in one piece at the end of the project. For example, a shop, a clinic, a house, right? I cannot give you the house in pieces. Well, maybe depend on where you live in the world. Maybe we can do the house in pieces. However, at the end of the day, we look at for delivering the product in one piece at the end of implementation, at the end of the implementation stage. We call that in the Uruk Platform Big Bang development, right? So basically, all of a sudden you work, and here you go, Big Bang, the project is finished. Or we use iterative incremental development. This is typically where you can release the product of the project in pieces, iteration, or increment. So we look at all of these. There are other factors we consider, but these are the most important factor. Then we come up with a standard model. And the standard model is typically suitable for medium to large project. And it looks like this. It have 9 stages, 9-stage gate, 3 phases. So we divide a project into 3 phases. And then every phase it have, you know, 2 or more stages. Again, for the medium to large project, right? And then there are different stages. Now the name we use here are the generic camp model name. But however, obviously, remember when we talk about tailoring, everything is tailored. That means the number of stages, the number of gate, the number of phases, their names, the name of the gate, what goes into the output of every stage, what happened at every stage gate, all of that is tailored, right? So what this gives you here is just a generic way of looking, of visualizing. Remember when I was asking about a hybrid, visualize the journey from idea until it's operating. Here you go. That's the journey. And that is what we call the standard model. Again, when we wrote our book, Project Management Beyond Waterfall and Agile, we developed a methodology, we use a standard model. However, the word standard model, again, is not one size fits all. This is the starting point we use for tailoring, as you can see on the next few slides. Now, one thing I want to highlight here is that you see there is a sequence. Obviously, some of this could overlap. Some of these stages are shown here sequentially, but they could have some overlap. This electronic image is not showing that. That's up to us as an organization. How do we do project? Do we want to use a sequence? Do we want to use some overlap? Or how would that happen? That we can build that method right there. And for us, usually the first few steps here, the first few stages are common across all type of project. Maybe the level of complexity would differ. And usually where the question of the hybrid or the agile or the waterfall come in is after gate 5, because gate 5 is the final approval of the project and we go into implementation. That is when we build the product. That is when we build as Big Bang or we build as iterative, incremental, right? So in this one, when you see the picture like this, that means it is a Big Bang. So basically it assumes Big Bang. And then we use another image, something that we use a symbol on the line. Now I'm using 3 symbols here, but you know, and basically to indicate that this is being done in iteration or increment. So that means it's agile. So in this case, notice nothing else changed. Everything else is the same except what's happening in here. Now, obviously, in some cases, maybe we'll expand that. We will include the definition stage in that one. So basically, for between, from gate 4, we could be doing these increment or iteration. Again, the total flexibility of how we do it. Now let's go to another type of project. Small, simple project. Notice here the life cycle changed a little bit, right? Now I have 7 stages and 7 gates. And notice again, implementation is standard, which means Big Bang. And now implementation is agile. Then I go one more methodology. Right? And here is what we call the micro projects. That's basically small. Now the classification will be different from company to company, industry to industry, but in general, we use this terminology. Now, what is a micro for you is probably, for oil and gas, a micro project might be a mega project or might be a large and complex project for technology, right? So it depends on the industry, the domain, the type of project. This definition could vary, but in general, if we have what we are saying, micro project is very straightforward, simple project, then there are only 4 stages and 4 gate, and again we have the opportunity to do it Big Bang or we do it agile. And this is one for mega project. This is from my book, but basically we have not built that into the platform yet. So coming to a conclusion, so is this what I just showed you, is that what meant by hybrid? I mean, if that's what is meant by hybrid, then Uruk Platform is a hybrid model, right? We don't call it that way. When I built that model, I designed that model starting back in 2007, and based on what I've learned from guides like the PMBOK guide, from PMI and IPMA and others, right? is that traditional project management must be always adaptive. That is the way I used to manage project in companies like Exxon Chemical and others, and Aramco. When I work in those companies, we manage project differently depend on their factors, the type of the project, the size and the complexity of the project. So we always have an adaptive approach. So to me, that's what I've been living with my entire career. And as you can see, I'm not young anymore, right? Uh, I've been in the field of project management and engineering and project for at least almost actually 40 years this year, right? So I'm an old guy, and we've always needed to be adaptive. So is that traditional project management? Project management has always been traditional, has always been adaptive. Is that now what this is hybrid? If this is what being promoted as hybrid, again, I don't know enough about all the hybrid, and I keep asking whenever I see posts on that. I keep asking people, please, anyone can share with us what is a project lifecycle for a hybrid model would look like, and I have yet to see. To see, even when we ask professional association or thought people who consider thought leader or expert in project management, and they post on this topic, and we ask them, all of a sudden they become ghost. I have not been able to see a truly hybrid model yet. Maybe I haven't done enough work looking, right? But when we see many posts on this topic and we ask, we don't know. So to me, the only thing I can think of a hybrid today, okay, and I can make the judgment, okay, and time will prove me right or wrong, that a hybrid project management is nothing more than traditional project management. It's just a relabel, rename, right? So at the end of the day, I'm going to close with these kind of comment. Regardless of what you prefer to call it, don't you think that we need something like the Uruk Platform to give us the flexibility and the agility and the caring capability to lead your project to success? You know, maybe this is my commercial piece, right? But again, you don't have to use the Uruk Platform. Build your own. Build your own as an organization, or use that concept. Again, we share a lot of these concepts. We are in the open domain, right? We are not being restrictive here in how we share. Obviously, you're welcome to build your own. You can come and talk to us. And with this, I say thank you. You can visit our website to learn more, and we are right now working on improving the website. And of course, you can access the platform site itself, and you can subscribe. Or if you're not ready to subscribe yet, just get a explore through a trial plan. There are trial plan option. We have two options for trial plan: one for individual to try, and one for organization to try. Which means you need to have two to three people at least working together in order to test using the organizational module, right? But you can do the individual module, and you can see a lot of the same features. And of course, we'll be happy to talk to you. And usually our approach is that with the Uruk Platform is that we offer our client 60 days money back guarantee. So we can work with you. If you're willing to commit, we'll be willing to work with you to onboard you, and then to help you get up to speed immediately. You don't have to wait months or a year. Immediately you can start using the platform. Now I have to say the platform is a lot of pieces have been built, and we continue to build and enhance. The methodology piece, most of the methodology piece that I was talking about in this video, it's been built already, right? So now what we are adding some additional functionalities, and we will continue to add, because in software that continues a journey. The key is we need to move away from fight and debate and about term. And my intention of the discussion, the hybrid today, is not just basic. It's not a critique. It's not a praise. It's not. It's basically just an opinion to look at it. If it is a relabel, and then that's fine. I have no problem with that. You can call it hybrid. You can call it traditional. You can call it project management. You can call it Munir. But if it's something new, really new, I would love to learn more about it with total open mind. With this, I say thank you and wish you success today, tomorrow, and always.